obviously business is picking up, the mood is good, we have a good product and it's benefiting us, but every indication is that it could benefit far more greatly if it were effectively marketed. And that's what we're talking about.
Could I pass the question on to the administrator?
Of course. Mr. Administrator, what do you think?
Well, I was reading the municipal act here, which I'm not sure. I was trying to look up the answer to the question regarding the approval process. And I think the question was raised about the approval requirement. And there are three options available under the provisions of the Municipal Act. One, of course, is the assent of the electors of the area defined in the bylaw. The other is a petition in compliance with Section 658, 659, or an initiative plan in compliance with Section 656 and 657. Those were the two options that were used by Council in the Downtown Revitalization Program option, or phases 1 and 2.
You meaning Council initiative?
Council initiative or petition, or it could be a vote, which would be a majority of the electors in the defined area.
Well, just dealing with the audience, with Mr. Moulin on behalf of the task force that Council asked to research it. Mr. Moulin, any closing comments from your task force before you throw the ball back to Council?
Well, no, I don't really think so. We hope that you will decide that it is a good thing also, and that it is indeed a thing. The one element that is lacking in the downtown Nelson area is the coordination of efforts to promote the downtown area and, of course, in Nelson in general. And if we could just convince the parties involved that it is a good thing for them too, then I think it would be a successful effort.
Thanks, Mr. Moulin. Alderman Smithson.
Yes, you know, they've obviously done what we've asked them to do on an informal basis. I'd like to formalize it a bit, if it's possible, with the help of our city secretarial services. Could it be possible that your work is completed by tendering of a report to us for study so that we can then deliberate and take some action on it?
Sure.
I'd like to request that, Mr. Mayor, because the verbal report was fine. I'd like to have the recommendations of the committee in the form of a concluding report from their task force so that we can then have something before us to work on.
Maybe we can check with Mrs. Olson. Mrs. Olson, should Mr. Moulin proceed to provide that, or do you think that you could draft the recommendations from the task force based on his presentation today?
I would prefer to have his notes, if that's possible, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, perhaps the two of you could work together and just point for him, summarize it. That would be terrific. We'll just leave that in your hands then without a resolution. We'll look forward to those written recommendations. If there's no more questions for Mr. Moulin, yes there is. Go ahead.
Just a comment to thank Mr. Moulin for his help, and Mr. Emery and Cindy and the others. And I was part of that committee, and the recommendations are positive, and I want us to proceed, and I support it 100%. And, a formal report is what we need. Thank you.
Something in writing
Yeah.
from the task force so we know it's a group decision. That would be great.
And if possible, specific recommendations at the end of it.
Right, like this little map indicating what areas the committee thinks is practical.
Yeah.
Good deal. Let's close the audience. Thank you, Mr. Moulin. Perhaps we can turn to the administrator then on the business of the issue, pending a small written report, Mr. Administrator. Do you recommend a resolution at this time, maybe that the report from the task force be referred to yourself for a comprehensive recommendation to Council?
Or should I prefer to wait until you get the written report in front of you, and then and perhaps at that time we could look at it further?
Okay, so we'll just leave it if there's no other action required then. Good, then thanks again for your work and for your report today. Council, then turning back to the main agenda, item 3 apparently is an information item reminding us of an April 27 meeting with immigration staff, and Council should be aware that I'm working out of town that day. And who's acting mayor in April?
I believe I am.
Alderman Smithson?
What day is Wednesday?
Yes, that's right. So perhaps you could make a note that if there's any chairing to be done, Alderman Smithson, you could do that.
I know it's a reference also to the Economic Development Commission. The Chamber of Commerce, so I'm part of all of it, so okay.
Apparently they've sent invitations to those groups directly.
All right.
Perhaps a motion just to receive the information item. Those in favor? Carried. Item 4, New Westminster writes us regarding Railway Safety Acts.
I'd like to move that the 3 points and a copy be forwarded to us for study, that an extension of time be granted for municipalities. And I'm not too sure about the 3rd one, that the standing committee be requested to travel here until we get the other 2, the information that we've requested. So I'd like to move items 1 and 2 on their request, that we get a copy of Bill C-105, and that an extension of time be granted so that it can be studied.
I'll second the motion.
And I'd like to speak to it because we do have a lot of railway crossings. I noticed this comes from the city engineer in New Westminster, and possibly our director of works might have some concerns about the repeal of the Railway Relocation and Crossing Act. I noticed parts 2 and 3 of the act are carried forward, but what does that mean? And what does that mean to our crossings, to the mall, to the RCMP building and other things like that?
Just a question, Your Worship, of Alderman Heflin, in reference to omitting item number 3. I think that's imperative. That's an important item that they brought up. I think personal contact with individuals is more so effective than a letter. I'm just wondering, perhaps more light could be shed when both parties could get together, other than the letter. That's just a matter. I just wonder why you omitted number 3, even though we would not be possibly represented, but regardless.
I would like to get the information first, look at it, and then leave it open to whether, we've asked for an extension of time. If that's granted, we should still have time.
Item number 3.
Yeah.
I see.
But I'd rather have the information first.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Item 5, request for support for an effort to develop a new highway from Elford towards Alberta.
I move we send a letter of support, Your Worship.
Second.
Second, yes, for sure.
It's moved and seconded twice. Any debate?
Just a comment, Your Worship. They say all roads lead to Rome. When you're referring to highways, any highways that are being initiated in the interior, certainly an asset, not maybe perhaps directly to one municipality, but certainly indirectly it'll affect all of them. I certainly think it's worthy of support.
We'll say all roads lead to Elford. On the motion to support that request, all those in favor? Carried. And a recommendation regarding sidewalk use during the lifestyle fair.
I'd move we approve the recommendation. Second.
Just a question, Your Worship. What day is that on? I'm sorry, I didn't read my agenda entirely. I was just wondering, since the Civic Center is a widely used sidewalk, parking, the bus parks there, the library is in operation, the theater is going, the senior citizens village is in operation. I'm just wondering how long they would be using the sidewalk and for what length of time.
It'll be this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and half of Sunday.
It'll be during lifestyles, Your Worship, which is it next weekend?
It's this coming.
This weekend. And they will be, the sidewalk's 10 feet wide, Your Worship. They'll be using maximum of 5 feet.
And it'll be, well, I guess movie times. Popular movie on. Maybe there'll be a lineup. I guess there's room with 5 feet.
Well, let's hope it doesn't rain.
Hearing no more debate on the motion to allow that. All those in favor? Carried. Item 7, a series of requests. The first one from the Lions Club to use the city bus.
Your Worship, I move that we accede to the request with the usual contractual arrangement that we had with the Eagles convention that was held recently, a similar type of arrangement. I
Second.
understand it's only 2 days, the same as Friday and Saturday.
Okay, with that on the floor, then what does that mean financially?
Your Worship, if I may answer that, it will cost the Lions Club approximately $130.
A day or close?
Well, they're only using it for one day.
2 days.
Are they using it for the Friday and Saturday or just the Saturday?
Just the Saturday, it's our understanding, Your Worship, with just discussing it.
Okay, so it's $130 they pay. It's no cost to the city. It's a convenience.
That's correct.
It keeps the people who've been drinking at the banquets and whatnot from driving back to their hotel, so it's good.
The motion's on the floor to allow that. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Carried. The next request is for use of the badminton hall waiving rental for the mine safety event.
I move we accede to the request, which includes the use of the Badminton Hall and the waiving of rental. The rental fee to come from the promotions budget.
Second.
Now, I'll just take guidance from staff. Your motion says that the cost of the rent comes from the promotions budget, but didn't we have a policy we were going to take it as a grant and aid item? I don't know if that causes a conflict, Mr. Administrator. What do you think? Does it make any difference?
In the past, I believe it's been charged out as a grant aid.
I'll take advice from the Treasurer, Worship, if he wants it out of the grant aid, then the grant aid to be referred to them.
I have no recommendation one way or the other. If it's considered by council to be a promotion of the community to host this, then that's perfectly in order to come out of the promotions budget.
Alderman?
I think in the past we have helped these people out, and they hold it here every year when they could go other places simply because of the cooperation we've been given. So I think they do tend to promote us, and they're very happy with the situation. So perhaps we should take it out of the promotions budget.
And Alderman Neville.
Your Worship, it requests at the end for 50 complimentary parking tickets. I just wonder, are they necessary on a Saturday, or are they here on the Friday prior to the Saturday?
Good question. Does anyone know? Perhaps there's no one here who can answer that question, Alderman Neville. We just don't know.
But the meters don't have to be plugged on Saturdays, so they may not need them.
That's true. Mr. Treasurer, do you take discretionary authority on that? I guess the authority now under the bylaw is the Public Works Director. You don't really need a resolution to do that. So you'll consult with them, and if they do need them, we'll leave it to you. And if they won't, they won't. On the motion then to take this out of the promotions budget, all those in favor? Carried. The next request, staff asking to attend their Municipal Officers Association conference.
I move they be authorized to attend with the usual expenses.
Second.
All 130 of them, or could the motion...
question that, how many?
2, Your Worship. Would probably be myself and someone from the Finance Department, probably the Treasurer or the Collector.
Alderman Neville, will your motion read that it be 2 staff members at the discretion of the Administrator?
Yes, Your Worship.
That would be great. The seconder agree
Yeah,
that's
that was my
okay?
understanding. It would be the same two that went last time, or...
Sure. Just for clarity's sake, I guess. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Carried. The next one, counterattack, to hang a banner.
Move that we approve this request.
Second?
Hearing no debate, all those in favor? You'll drink to that. And the last request is quite a package of requests to facilitate the triathlon this year.
Maybe, Your Worship, this could be referred to Alderman Ramsden's committee for recommendation.
Alderman
That's a good idea.
Smithson.
Your Worship, it includes grant aid requests plus others, so.
I move it to refer to grant and aid and parks.
Second.
Worship, would it be in order to refer this to Director Works as well for the route and the police department?
It's not in the motion, but I'm sure the Director of Works would take it in hand.
He is on the Parks Committee.
Makes sense. Any other recommendation from staff to proceed otherwise? No? Hearing no debate, all those in favor? Carried. And item 8, offering a lifeguarding agreement from the Aquatic Center for our wading pool. Does this look good, Mr. Administrator? It's pretty much a package of last year, isn't it?
Basically, the same package, Your Worship, little slight increase over last year. But in my recommendation that it be referred to the Parks Committee for review. So moved. Second, Your Worship.
Hearing no debate, all those in favor? Carried. Bylaws, the annual bus system operating agreement.
Move first and second reading.
Second?
With second reading on the floor, debate, or Mr. Treasurer, just a word of explanation. Are we facing any changes? The cost-sharing agreement's the same, is it?
Yes, Your Worship, the budget has been reviewed with BC Transit, and there has been some amendments made to the provisional budget, but smaller, not significant amendments. It's just there's one bus that's anticipated will need a new transmission sometime this year. So other than that, it's basically as per the provisional budget and the monies are provided for.
Thanks, Mr. Treasurer. We've got second reading on the floor. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Carried.
Move third reading, Your Worship.
Second.
All those in favor of third? Carried. And the next bylaw is a fill in the blank for the name of what we currently call IODE Park. Honestly speaking now, IODE put, staff, what was it? Was it $10,000 one time into the park that generated the initiative to improve it? Do you happen to know the history in summary form, Mr. Administrator? It was a local improvement, no, a neighborhood improvement program. And it received $10,000 from IODE, but there was also tax and other monies involved.
Yeah. My recollection of it is for the first year that it was the IOD and the neighborhood improvement. And there was a small amount of city money that had to go into completing it. The exact amount that was, I'm not too sure.
And the city, of course, has been maintaining it ever since.
That's correct.
I would like to move that it be called IODE Park.
I'll second that.
Discussion, Council?
Just a question, who would be responsible for installing the plaque? I can't quite define that paragraph. It says that they, who are they? Is that the IOD or is it the city?
I don't know what they are referring to.
Installing the plaque at IODE Park.
The Kokanee chapter of IODE is
Yeah, would they be putting them on?
Any discussion on naming of the park? I just hope years from now it's not called IODE Park.
Ione, Idaho gets along very well with very similar spell. I don't know that too many people call it Ione, but I think most Canadians do know what IODE is.
Hearing no more debate, all those in favor of resolving that that be the name inserted into the bylaw? All those in favor? Carried. And now the bylaw, I believe, up to 3 readings, staff?
Move first and second.
Second.
2 times, all those in favor? Carried.
Move third reading, Your Worship. Second.
All those in favor? Carried again. Perhaps a motion. Do we have enough late items to bother with? Why don't we just go right into them, Council?
Sure, go ahead.
Water System Improvement Loan Authorization Bylaw to adopt.
Move adoption of the Water System Improvement Loan Authorization.
Second.
Bylaw.
All those in favor? Carried. And a late item, Cancer Society asking for a decorative lighting change, color.
It'd be better to put the $290 donation toward the Cancer Society rather than change the light. I don't know.
A good point. If you're confident of that, feel free to put it on the floor or refer it to grants and aid, whatever you think.
Bill Bennett told you.
Your Worship, I think we should only be concerned about whether we feel the lights need change.
I would move the city accede to the request, Your Worship.
Going, gone, no seconder.
I'll second.
You're seconding the motion to put down the money. Any idea what account it'll come from, Alderman, or do we turn to staff?
Decorative lights.
Decorative lights declared.
Oh, I see, okay.
It's indicated.
Was that the money, Your Worship, that would have been from the Spurway account? There's nothing to do with it?
No. This is money we budget every year for the Baker Street Christmas trees and other decorative lights.
Okay.
Debate then. $290, change the color of the lights to yellow. Hearing no debate, Alderman Smith?
Does anybody know whether or not this request was made with an understanding or knowledge that it was going to cost $300 to do it?
Bill Bennett phoned me and asked me if it would be possible to do it, and I said, certainly it's possible. I'll have to, but it will cost money. I'll have to ask council if they're willing to pay for it. That's how it was left. It's just the time. It's the time for the electricians, actually. The truck to sit there to change all the lights in the pattern. And we don't have any yellow ones, so the bulbs are worth about 85 cents a piece for yellow bulbs. In fact, so.
Alderman Smithson, is that it?
That's my question, thank you.
Alderman Heflin?
Yes, I was just wondering if, in view of the fact that it is Cancer Month, and that is their particular color, I know because they had daffodils and whatnot for that color, that's why they want it to go from what color it is now to yellow. And then, of course, we would have, is this taking into account the cost of taking those bulbs out and restoring it to its regular color?
Yes, it's for both put up.
It's for both put up and taken.
Ready for the question, Council?
Question.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. That's it for late items. I guess, you have an Alderman? Yep.
It's a request from Lloyd Moseley from the 1989 Winter Games Society. On the weekend of April 16th and 17th, the Nelson 1989 Winter Games Society will be hosting the Board of Directors of the Dawson Creek Winter Games. And the letter goes on to say that they were hosted very nicely in Dawson Creek, and they would like it if the city would co-host a luncheon with the Winter Games Society to entertain these people when they come down to put on the workshops. The cost, they're anticipating 29 persons for lunch, plus city representatives, and they've invited the whole council to come if you have the time. So the city's cost would be approximately $175 for this luncheon, at a maximum of 35 people. So the city of Dawson Creek hosted the board for breakfast while they were there, and the information exchange was beneficial. So I would like to move that we accede to the request to co-host this luncheon, and further that we take it out of the reception budget to a maximum of $175.
Second the motion.
Any debate on that? Hearing none? All those in favor? Carried. Okay.
That can be my committee report too, because it's
Okay, fine. Then we'll start at your end of the table, Alderman Heflin. Any questions of Alderman Heflin on anything she's responsible for? Hearing none, then Alderman Ramsden.
Your Worship, just the one item that we continue to sweep and wash the streets, and we're caught a little bit with one sweeper, and it's working two shifts. It's working daytime basically up the hill in Fairview, in the evening and doing the bus routes. So we will catch up to the dust as fast as we can go. That's all I have, Your Worship. We are holding regular budget meetings on the Public Works and Parks budget.
Good, thanks, Alderman. Any questions of the Alderman? Hearing none, then Alderman Smithson.
Nothing to report this week, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, everybody's water taste okay?
Seems to be. Phone didn't ring.
Let's see. No questions. Alderman Grill.
Just a few items. We're in the process of training another bus driver Your Worship, as you see, we're having a lot of business in the transit. Also, the Jubilee Manor, I'd like to report, will be now an intermediate care center, which moves it up another notch in health care for the elderly. In other words, they do have a nurse at the present time, nurse resident. I would also like to remind Council that we have 2 elderly citizens that are 99 years old in company with Mrs. Long. That will be celebrating her 99th birthday shortly.
Hey, she's young.
And I think that's all I have to report, Your Worship.
What a
Takes on
debate.
to my report.
Thanks, Alderman Grill. You're looking into the future. Of course, Mrs. Long will be here for that birthday.
Of course. For sure.
Probably my 99th.
Christmas Day.
Well, you know, I say the whole world celebrates my birthday.
Christmas Day.
It's the 31st of December, and they will have to continue after I'm gone.
Any questions from Alderman Grill? Hearing none, Alderman Gower.
Nothing to report, Your Worship.
Questions? No. Alderman Neville.
Briefly, Your Worship, Civic Centre is gearing up for the Lifestyles Fair. It looks as if it's going to be a pretty busy one. And the ice will be coming out of the arena at the end of the month. And then it will stay out until the Bonspiel in June.
Good. And hearing no questions, Alderman Neville? No, and I'll carry in the mic. Own personal report, and maybe I can pick up on what Alderman Neville says. If the aldermen could check their calendars and perhaps give staff a note on what hours they would like to be in the booth, the city booth, at the Lifestyles Fair. We're going to have, of course, our TV set up, promotional videos, and television coverage that we've had in recent months and even a couple of years on display, various displays. You know how it goes. We'll have a coffee and donut service. But we do need to know when and who's going to be there. We will be coordinating that. We have a meeting tomorrow to make sure it happens. But please let us know which 2, 3, or 4 hours or a couple of hours twice you want to be there. Let's see. I just thought I'd mention to Council that you might have seen that cable TV took the initiative to arrange an open line program with myself last week, which went very well. It allowed me to represent Council's initiatives of the past couple of years. It was well received by the public. As happened to come up earlier in the meeting, we had a visit on Friday, from Peter Hindman, Deputy Director of Heritage Canada's Main Street program, and he's very impressed. He had not had the chance to be here before. He'd seen many photos of Nelson. He did, in fact, administered some of the program for Nelson on behalf of the organization in Ottawa. Never had the chance to be here. Very impressed by what he saw. It's far better than he expected from the photographs. And of course, as I mentioned, he and I lamented that we were still working to get that promotional aspect underway, and there's some things in that regard coming forward also. This past Saturday, I attended on Council's behalf at the Municipal Association for Southeast BC, the Association of Kootenay Boundary Municipalities, meeting in Creston. The organization is more than solvent. You should know that it has substantial funds in the bank, very healthy. And we dealt with organizational details for the April 28th through 30th conference in Creston. I think most council members are attending, and it looks like it'll be a good show and informative. On Thursday last week, I attended on behalf of council when West Kootenay Power and Light held a seminar in Castlegar on economic development. They flew in a fellow who does economic development on behalf of the company in Missouri, in the Kansas City area. He spoke on the fundamentals of community organizing for economic development. Luckily, our community is well beyond that point, so the afternoon session dealing with what the company itself will be doing in the coming months was valuable. The promotional material from the Missouri utility that now owns West Kootenay Power and Light was very impressive. They're very aggressive. They're already allocating tens of thousands of dollars this year to market surplus energy, non-peak power, and generally promote the area as a location for industrial and power-using companies. So it sounds promising. And the last item here, the Lifestyles Fair we've mentioned. I'm sure all of Council is aware that the Italian National Ambassador to Canada will be attending at the initiative of the Nelson Italian Canadian Society on Friday and Saturday, and I'm sure the aldermen will be participating in the banquet Saturday evening. And if you don't have tickets, I understand Mr. Mastrobono will sell them to you at the end of the meeting. I have no other business, Council. Are we ready for our in-camera session, rather? If so, maybe a motion to adjourn into Committee of the Whole. Second, all those in favor? Carried and adjourned.